If you're looking for cheap, safe, and reliable MT, make sure you go check out my new sponsor, safembamt.com. Use code JC2K for 5% off and go build that God Squad you always wanted. Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. This is the first video I've recorded in like almost a week and a half. I'm sorry for the big break. I went on vacation, spent time with my family, and I was intending to record videos while I was on vacation, but I brought my laptop and I just had so many issues trying to record and produce videos that it really just became not worth it for me. So I really just decided to basically take a break, but I am back now. I appreciate y'all for the support, and I'm excited to get back to recording videos for y'all this week. And excited to hop into this I Build Your Teams episode and see what we can do. This is episode 20. If you want to be involved in a future episode of this series, make sure you follow me on Twitter. My link is down in the description down below. And be on the lookout for this tweet every Friday night. Be on the lookout for this tweet and drop your team there for a chance to be included in a future episode of this series. But without further ado, let's hop into it and see what we can do with some of these teams. So first team today comes in from my boy Selin. He's got 1.5 million on current gen, and I know how he plays. I do know how he plays, and he's a pretty solid player, good dribbler. And looking at this team immediately, I think this is going to be a common theme for the teams because there are a lot of really good teams at this point in this game. You can pretty much run most any team. Most of the teams I'm going to look at today don't have any significant holes. That being said, looking at this team, the first guy who I would consider a hole, quote unquote, would be Luka. As much as that pains me to say that, he's just not quite well sized enough. He doesn't have a big enough player build. His wingspan isn't good enough. Defensively, he struggles. And with 1.5 mil, just go get yourself a Space Jam or a USA LeBron James. Go get yourself one that's badged up with like a badge like Rim Protector if you get the USA one. Just make sure you get a good one and play him at the 2. And he fills that spot for Luka perfectly. He's going to be a better defender, almost dang near as good of a release, and a much better slasher as well. He's just going to be a much better all-around card than Luka and really upgrade your squad without spending a lot of MT. And then another thing you could do would be go get a guy like Yao Ming. You have the MT and the flexibility to go get a Yao Ming. You even have the flexibility, if you wanted to go get an invincible Ben Simmons at point guard to replace Blake Griffin. You have the MT and the flexibility to make this team one of the best teams in the game if you want to. But those two guys, Ben Simmons, Yao Ming, to replace Wiseman and Blake, I don't think they're a necessity. You can continue to run this squad just the way you have it. I would make that one upgrade to one of the LeBrons at the shooting guard position. And besides that, I really think you're good. You have a lot of MT as well to work with, which is really, really nice. Next team today comes in from my boy Adrian. He's got 119k MT and he plays on P4. And looking at this squad, I know he's a huge Kobe fan, so we're going to leave Kobe in the lineup for sure. And this Kobe's really, really good. If you want to use a Kobe card in the game, I know this Kobe is not technically a Lakers Kobe, but this card is dang near, like very, very, very close to the invincible and GOAT Kobe Bryant. He's going to be a fraction of the price. This is the guy to get if you want to use Kobe. So we're definitely going to be leaving Kobe in this lineup because I know he's a huge Kobe fan. But looking at this squad, the one thing that kind of jumps out to me is the fact that he doesn't have a ton of size at the big man. Wiseman has good size, but everybody else at his 4s and 5 is kind of like 6'9", 6'10", just not super big. And I would definitely like to adjust that slightly to try to give you a little bit more size on the court at all times. So the way that I would do that, I would definitely look into selling Klay Thompson. I don't think he's all that great, to be completely honest. I would move LeBron to the 3. I'm sorry, LeBron from the 3 to the 2. Danny Ferry to the 3. And then slide this Bill Russell or Moses Malone, whoever you prefer, and put them at the 4, and then put Wiseman at your backup 5 to maintain some size off your bench with a tall center as well. Then go get yourself a guy like Simbalar. He's cheap. He's really, really good. Add those necessary badges that he needs because he does need a couple badges. Make sure he gets those badges added to him. He's one of the best centers in the game for a very, very good value. Absolutely incredible card. So I'd definitely look to pick him up. And by selling Klay and swapping him for Sim, you have a better squad and you would save some MT. At that point, I would definitely be looking to save for a point guard. I don't love this Boras Diaw card. I don't think his release is all that great. I don't think his slashing animations are incredible either. He's not a bad card, but selling him and looking to get a badged out version of Ben Simmons, not the invincible one, the regular warped reality Ben Simmons, would be a huge W, just because that card has now gotten very, very cheap, and you can definitely find a super juiced badged one of him that is going to play darn near as good as the invincible card for a fraction of the price. Really, really good option at the point guard position. Still one of the top point guards in the game, and I think you could pick him up to replace Boras Diaw as well. Make those 2 upgrades, you're looking at a really, really good squad. For the third team today, we comes in from my guy Rock, who's on current. He's got 300k MT, and I'm looking at the squad, and I really don't think, again, this is a squad that has a lot of holes. There are a couple things that I would probably just tweak in the way that you're playing this lineup for me personally, but I don't think you really need to make any upgrades with 300k MT. The one thing I will say is I would probably look to start this Simbalar card at the center position and bring Kareem at the 4, and then put Bill Russell at your backup 4 and James Wiseman at your backup 5. I really think that maximizes your starting lineup just a little bit better, and just really turns this team into a top team in the game just by making that lineup adjustment, makes your starting lineup super elite and keeps your bench very, very good. But I think having that size to counter a guy like Yao or Taco in the starting lineup is going to help you with Symbolar. And then with 300k MT, I would consider just saving your MT, wait for another potential demigod center to come out, even save for a guy like Yao Ming. I know he's super expensive, but potentially his price will drop in the next couple weeks. We'll definitely have to see what happens. But I really don't think there are any other holes on this team that need to be upgraded. That's just the one thing I would change, honestly. I wouldn't even buy anybody. I don't think I'd make any upgrades. I would just definitely make sure you started the Symbolar card because I think he is incredible on both gens. And you could also pick up a guy like Sean Bradley, a badged out Sean Bradley as well, who you could just put at like an 11th, 12th, or 13th man just so you have some more size to plug in there at that center position if you really find yourself getting exploited by some of the demigod 7'5", 7'6" centers in the game. Next team today comes in from Aiden. He's got 50k MT. He's on current gen where he's trying to get replaced soon. He likes everyone else. And looking at this squad, that definitely is his biggest hole. I think James Worthy's a pretty big hole on this squad. He says he has 50k MT, so I'm going to ignore the 824 up here. 824 for Kobe, that's kind of cool. But looking at this team, definitely going to say I would probably just make some adjustments. I'd slide Symbolar to the center, Sean Bradley to the backup center, start Wiseman at the 4, probably sell this Rudy Fernandez. I just think he's a little bit undersized, honestly, and Worthy needs to go as well. And the way that I think at that point, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out whether we keep this Bull or not at this point in the year. I think it might be a little bit late for Bull. And I'm just trying to figure out how with 50k MT this team can be upgraded to its maximum potential. Definitely would be looking to try to get another point guard. Selling Rudy Fernandez, selling your juiced Bull. I think that'll give you enough MT to go pick up a Warped Reality. Ben Simmons, just get a really, really good point guard for a very, very solid value. I actually don't know Ben's price right now, but I think that would probably get you in the relative range. So that's probably what I would look to do. And you could start him at point guard, bring Boris off the bench. If you have Blake Griffin as well, I'm not sure if you have him, but if you did grab Blake Griffin, I would plug him in at that point guard position instead of Boris Diaw. So then you have Ben and Blake, and you could sell Boris to make some more MT. Otherwise, Ben and Boris will work just fine. And then the other upgrade that I'd be looking to make, I'd probably use, yes, again, slide Sim to center, put James Wiseman at the 4. If you have Bill Russell, put him at the backup 4, or Moses Mullen. If you either of those two guys, plug them in at the backup 4. Otherwise, look to just plug in Eddie Curry kind of as a stopgap. I think he's super solid at the backup 4. And then at the backup 3, there's a lot of very, very good cheap small forward options. But I don't know. A guy like Thon Maker would be a good option. Anton Jameson. If you can save a little bit MT, depending on how much MT you have after making some other changes, and look to pick up like the USA LeBron James. Guys like that would definitely be the guys that I'd be looking to save for, and maybe grind some triple threat as well this weekend and see if you can make some MT from either the Vault or the triple threat online boards, just to give yourself a little bit more flexibility. But I think if you make some of those upgrades, look to add a little bit more size to this team, you will be looking at a very, very solid all-around squad. Next team today comes in from Dami. He's on a current gen with 30k MT, and him and BSM are trolling me. There's some of my boys on Xbox, but he's got a really nice squad. Only 30k MT, but I really do like the makeup of this team. The only thing I will say, and I actually agree with Alfonso here, I like this Sean Bradley card. I like him more than I think a lot of people do on current gen. I still think he's a super good option, but I would probably sell him and pick up Symbolar. I just think Symbolar is super, super good. He's a better Sean Bradley. I like his release just as much. I think he moves better. I think he's better on the defensive end of the court. Just a upgraded version of Sean Bradley, and I really think he would be the upgrade to make over Sean Bradley. And then at that point, consider like, I like Rudy Gay. I think he's solid. I think there are some better options. If you could sell him as well, potentially get close to getting a guy like Hito Turkoglu. If you have Blake Griffin, plug him in there. Something like that as well would be a big W for the squad, but I really don't think that needs to be changed. I know you're a really good dribbler. Rudy Gay's great for dribblers, and I think you can have a lot of success with that card if you do want to keep him in the lineup. Second to last team today comes in from One Eye Only. He's got 100k on current gen. Sean and Sim are badged up. He wants to get Hito, and I think that's a really, really nice upgrade to potentially make looking at this team. The one thing that I do notice is I think your backcourt's a little bit small compared to some of the beastly, really, really big backcourts that we're seeing at this point in the game. I like the fact that you have tall centers off the bench and in your starting lineup. I think that's really smart. This AD card is super good. I haven't recommended him for other teams, but if you're looking for a power forward, he's a great option. I wouldn't play him at center. I think he's too undersized, but at the power forward position, he's super elite, on par with a guy like Bill Russell. So I think really your 3 through 5 in both your starting lineup and your bench are really, really good. In terms of this portion of the lineup, the guy who stands out to me is Tom Van Arsdale. I just think he's too small at this point in the year. I would definitely struggle to run that card. I think a guy who's 6'5" like that is definitely going to be a little bit of a liability. I would slide Luka to the backup too, and then go ahead and get yourself a guy like Hedo Turkoglu. He'd be a really, really good, nice card to get. You could plug him in here at that starting 1 and definitely have a nice upgrade there. And then I would consider trying to potentially save some MT, make some MT off of the triple threat boards, and wait until you can potentially get a guy like the Warp Reality Ben Simmons. I'm recommending him a lot, but that's because he has dropped a lot in price because of there being a new invincible Ben Simmons, and I think he's a very, very good point guard option who's still a top point guard in the game for a very solid price, and I think he'd be a really good upgrade for a lot of people to make. I actually like this Vince Carter card. I think he's super solid, but if you can get a better backup point guard, so you have, like, for example, Hedo and Ben, and then you could run Vince as your backup too to replace Luka, I would like that a little bit more for this team. I think it makes it a little bit more well-rounded, but overall, I really do like this squad. I just think you need to add a little bit more size to your guards, however you decide to do that. And then moving on to the final team of today, comes in from Afonso. He's on current gen. He's got I can't speak. He's got around 250 KMT. He'd like to get a small forward, maybe a point guard, but I don't know, maybe Aker or Benny needs some help. And again, looking at the squad, I really like it. Bill, Moses, James Wiseman, Sim. I like your bigs. Danny Ferry and Terry, solid. Cam and Grant Hill, super solid. Boris Diaw, Luka, very, very solid as well. Really solid all-around squad. And I think that's a theme with every team today, is we have a lot of really good squads that don't need a lot of changes. But that being said, I would definitely look to pick up a point guard. Again, Luka's, he struggles defensively. As much as it hurts me as a Mavericks fan to say, this card is a little bit of a liability on the defensive end of the court at this point in the year. And again, I know I've said it a lot this video, go get yourself a Ben Simmons. He's cheap and he's super effective, still a top point guard in the game, and I'm actually going to check his price right now just because I'm interested to see how much he's going for right now, because I know I keep recommending him to people. I just want to make sure that he's as cheap as I think he is right now. But if you can get yourself a Ben Simmons for under 100K, which I think he probably is under 100K right now, I'm checking to make sure right now, but no, he's not. Interesting. Well, if that's the case, that changes things a little bit. He looks like he's going for around 120K. If that's the case, I still think he's a good upgrade. With 250K, I would definitely go after Ben Simmons. I think he'd be your best point guard. You start him at the point guard position, bring Boris off the bench. Your 2s are great, your 3s are really good. And I think you could still have the flexibility to pick up a LeBron James, whether it's a Space Jam 1 or the USA LeBron. Either LeBron would be a big upgrade over Terry Dishinger. And at that point, I think you're looking at a very, very good squad just by making those upgrades of Ben Simmons instead of Luka and LeBron instead of Terry Dishinger. And you're looking at one of the better teams that you can build in my team. But that is going to do it for this video. If y'all did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate y'all for all the support, and I'm looking forward to getting back to uploading very, very consistently this week. I appreciate all the support, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.